Today's going to be a really fun and interesting stream. It actually was it was brought up, in a few of the conversations we had in the CoX3 community about self-esteem and how can we really maximize the self-esteem that we have every single day. Of course, we have days that we feel our lowest. We have days that we feel like we are down on our luck. But in those situations, how can we pick ourselves up, do something small, get something done, and of course also get the right words, hear the right words or tell ourselves the right things to program ourselves to really enjoy what we're doing today and be able to, plant 2 feet on the ground and get up from bed. So this is really the true motivation of what we want to build here today. And when we started posting about this in the community, we had great feedback from people like Sebastian who said things like, what if it was, just this big database that anybody globally could contribute into, and then anybody could see relevant information based on what they need to see at this current moment. Well, what if, I'm currently feeling low energy about family? Maybe I'm feeling low energy about career, about what successes, achievements I've had in my career. Maybe I'm a student and I feel that like I'm getting tested every day, and I feel like I'm not being productive or efficient or testing well, and all those kind of things. Everybody has different types of challenges that they face in their lives, and the intention for today's database is that how can we create something that anybody globally can contribute to? And not only that, after it's being contributed, how can you in your own Notion workspace be able to look up the data? That's what I call a lookup database. How do you look up the information so that when you're doing your daily reflections or maybe just waking up in the morning, how can that specific affirmation that is going to be just right for what you're dealing with today, your local battle today, how can that be relevant and how can it be meaningful to you so that the affirmation there is something that resonates and impacts you and immediately gets you to reframe your mind, defeat cognitive dissonance. I think Anne loves that word and loves that, and we're always learning from her about that as well, and really make ourselves live a better life. So I think the really interesting thing too is that this is not just applicable for self-affirmations. This kind of public database can be useful for a variety of use cases. Like, an example that came in my mind was like, let's say you wanted to collect feedback, right, on a certain on a certain thing that you really enjoy, and then you set up a page and you say, oh, everybody can put in feedback, and if you ever want to pull in feedback or knowledge about this specific topic, you can do it. So the information I'm teaching you today is going to be applicable whenever you want to create a public repository that you want many people to contribute to, and also you want many people to be able to extract information out. And the really awesome thing today is I'm going to actually go through from scratch all the thinking that I have behind systems architecture, so you can see like from zero how I start thinking about systems all the way to 100. And within the course of this hour and a half, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be able to go from basically not having any idea of how the system is being built at all, right, to being able to build your own public repository that's going to be able to reach thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and maybe even millions someday. So with that in mind, thank you guys for joining, and let's get started. Let me know if you can see my screen properly at any point, and shout at me if you think that there's something that I'm doing wrong, or things that you might want me to feedback on. I think the really fun thing is that I want this to be as interactive as possible. Obviously, I don't know every single self-affirmation out there, and maybe you have different affirmations that work for you. Maybe you rather like to hear something in a different way, and I don't know about that. So I like to hear your opinions when that happens, and that would be super fun and super awesome. So Okay, I'm now right now on a blank Notion page. Awesome. What do we do here? So I want to flesh out what exactly the goals we want to accomplish with this template. I always start with the goal in mind. If you don't know exactly what you're trying to accomplish, you can't really get anything done. So what is the goal in mind, right? So let's first call this, Self-Affirmation Database, right? Lookup database. This is probably going to be a wide window because we want to see a lot of stuff, right? Make it wide. And for us, the goals we have in mind, probably the first one is, being able to sort and filter out self-affirmations that are relevant to me, right? We also want to be able to allow anonymous submissions, now allow anonymous submissions to the database, because a global effort is always stronger than a singular one. And most likely we also want to have, we'll talk about the exact properties because that's more like the what, right? But exact properties, we'll talk about that in a sec. But being able to sort and filter out, allow anonymous submissions. Oh, and also having useful linked views for other Notion users to be able to easily embed this database into their whether it be their journal, daily reflections, maybe even what we call our daily quests, dashboards, etc. So basically being able to easily show this database up in your own workspace, and you don't have to essentially navigate to a different website, right? That's a bit jarring to the experience. And also, while we're doing this, let's create a nice cover image so we feel good while we build out the system. So let's call it meditation. This kind of looks like it's going to be a bit surreal, relaxed. I don't know. Let me know if you guys think that's a pretty good cover image. Otherwise we'll change it up later on. Exact properties, that's where I start defining the what, right? What features, exact properties, etc. right? So let's start brainstorming this, right? And I think the interesting thing about this would be I kind of see it as having two overarching categories, and let me explain what that means. Like when you're looking for affirmations, right? I mentioned there's going to be different things that are relevant to you at different times, and sometimes you can sort relevancy by saying like, hey, this is relevant to me because I'm going through a particular situation, right? Maybe again, like I mentioned, you're testing in school, or your career is kind of in a rut, or so many different things. Or you might be feeling something. You might have a certain feeling that you are currently experiencing, and you want to overcome that feeling. Maybe you're feeling low energy. Maybe you're feeling depressed. Maybe you're feeling not valued. There's a lot of different ways that we could sort this by, and it's important for systems architecture and systems thinking to have those mapped out in advance, because changing properties at a later stage is not impossible, right? Notion makes it really easy to do that, but it's not necessarily the best practice, just because we have an opportunity to make it as good as we can from the beginning. So let's talk about that. So we probably have two separating categories, right? So two separating, qualifying, filtering, doesn't matter, right? But basically I'm saying that there's going to be two different columns. Okay, my first hypothesis is going to be context. So this is context, and next one is going to be feelings, right? So you're in a situation. I'm in a particular situation, And feelings would be, I'm feeling a current way. And one thing I also want to make it clear, and let me put a call out for this because I think it's important to really stay out loud, is that, at the end of the day though, these kind of self-affirmations really work when you want it to work. Our human brain is really, I read a really great book that Shani I recommended the other day, and of course I've shared with the community as well, is What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. And it's such an amazing book. I honestly think it's amazing because it kind of encapsulates everything that we kind of teach here, at Codex 3, which is, you can hack your brain. You can really hack your mind to do anything you want. And if you think of us like a computer, right? And a computer is, everyone uses a computer, so it's a good analogy to use. People understand that, right? So you are a computer, and computers only work because programs are built into it, right? There's a program for Notion. There's a program for, the starting up. There's a program for, going on Twitter, going on Facebook. There's a program for watching cool YouTube videos, right? There's all programs, but if you have the wrong program telling the system the wrong thing to do, then obviously the system's going to glitch out. You're not going to find that cute cat video you're wanting to watch, and you're not going to be able to, text your friends or FaceTime your mother or, FaceTime your kids, depending on your stage in life. And that's the thing. And when you think about it in terms of a computer, it's almost obvious that, yeah, of course, you put bad inputs in, you get bad outputs. But, we don't think about that enough for ourselves. We often grow up and, and not just in childhood too, but also in the workplace, offhand comments, get you down a lot more than you think, because, at some point they're challenging your self-worth, they're challenging your fundamentals, they're challenging who you are, right? And these are damaging statements to yourself, and these are statements that obviously you can try to avoid them as much as possible, and you can try to overlook them as much as possible. But my point here is that, you have to believe that you can be programmed, and because you know that you can be programmed, you have to make a mindful and willful decision to reprogram yourself in a more positive way. And that starts with, the self-affirmations. Having a database is helpful, right? Having the items there if you want them are helpful, but it's more about really taking them onwards and actually using them. So remember that just because you have a database doesn't mean your problems is solved, your life is great. No, not exactly. Is that you have the tools to make your life better, and it's about you making the decision today to then do it. So wanted to get that across, and hopefully I made sense. Let me know if I didn't, but hopefully that resonated with some of you. So the key thing to put in this call out, having a database is just a tool. You need to believe that you can reprogram yourself every day and feel and choose to feel better. Awesome. And giving us some love back to you as well. Awesome. So back to the features. Two separating categories. We probably want, to have a, sorry, let me just space this out a little bit. So we probably want to have a, let's call it a, let's probably want to have a name property, or like so the affirmation is the title property, but then we also want a description property, right, which is going to explain, more context about the affirmation, how use cases, stuff like that, etc. So basically, not just as simple as like, hey, say this thing, your life will be better, but like, after you say this thing, how are you supposed to feel, right? What's the aim? How are you supposed to feel? So that's a description. And we probably at some point want to do like, a lookup, do the lookup. I'll explain what this means, but essentially like being able to almost like do self-references. So like, hey, if this really worked for you, this, very similar affirmation may work for you too, right? So basically finding clusters of affirmations that work, because I know even for myself, like some affirmations work better than others. Some affirmations are really useful to me in my growth journey, and some are less so useful. Some I just can't relate to. So probably having some kind of like self-referential, you may also like this, kind of thing. And the really cool thing is that this has the opportunity to be highly collaborative, right? So that's really cool. Another really cool thing I'm thinking about is probably doing like an upvote database, right? How do we do upvotes? How can we upvote each other? How can we say, this really helped me, right? That's probably going to be pretty interesting. So we have a few different ideas already, right? We can start building. And again, so I like to spend the first, 10, 15 minutes when I'm building out a template or building out some kind of new system is, just really making sure, the why and the what's are really obvious to me. Otherwise, it's not going to be very meaningful to you to just build willy-nilly. You might not actually end up getting what you wanted to get accomplished at the end of the day. So let's talk about that. So this is the why, the features, exact properties is the what. And also, we want to have one more thing, which is probably a separate database to collect inputs if you don't want to deal with trolls, etc., and have your whole database deleted in a fortnight. Like that would be pretty interesting, because yeah, so this is probably protecting you. So let's think about it. So these are the why and the what's. Let's build. So I'm thinking we're going to do this all in table form for now, just to start. So this is our self-affirmations. Let's expand this. So if you click this little arrow, it expands the database, so you have your own page for it. And here I'm going to add an icon just to call it, you're a star, probably. Let's use a star, a glowing star. And then let's start. So 1 second, let me just drink a bit of water. All right, stay hydrated, folks. Remember to drink water. So the affirmation is right here. We probably want to add a description now too. And then let's do a text. For now, I'm going to put the context and feelings as categories right here. Actually, no, I don't think so. I'm going to start off by doing a reference. So I'm going to teach you a little bit about relations quickly, because that's important for this implementation. So feelings. So I'm currently feeling low energy, right? So I'm currently feeling, let's put this here. So I'm currently feeling, and then we have ... So I'm going to teach you a really simple way of doing relations. And if you have any questions, ask out loud. I'm here to help. I'm here to answer your questions. So don't hesitate. I'm currently feeling low energy. I'm currently feeling unvalued, right? I'm currently feeling, give me one more thing. You guys give me one more thing. I'll keep going, but you guys give me one more that's relevant to you, so then we can also build something that's useful for you, right? So I'll give you guys a chance to feedback on that while I continue building. But basically, I'm going to relate the self-affirmations to how I'm currently feeling. So I'm currently feeling database. I'm currently feeling awesome. I like that, Anne. Overwhelmed, unmotivated. Okay. Hey, Drew. Happy to have you here. Hope you're doing well. Let's do both. Overwhelmed. Let's do unmotivated. Thank you. I love it. Dean, perfect. Discouraged. This is beautiful. Awesome. Okay. So I'm currently feeling is right here in the relation. So as an example, now we have, so we have here is, self-affirmation. So you have your feeling here. Actually, let me change that to this. I'm currently feeling in the property, and then let's call this feelings, and feelings are important, so let's make them into a person. Let's see what will be a cute feeling. And by the way, I enjoy doing this. I don't know about you guys, but I like to put emojis a lot into my work, just because it helps me kind of make it more lighter than it has to be. Again, this is a very relaxed section. I'm having fun. Hope you guys are having fun too. But basically, it's giving you a chance to make it light, enjoy your work. And again, my whole thing is about, how can you make work fun? How can you enjoy your work to the maximum ability? And this is, something that you might want to think about. How do you do little fun things to just make you smile when you go across the database, make you smile when you go across your workspace? So, awesome. So I did a little cartwheel guy, because feelings make you feel like, you're in a tumble. But yeah, so okay, so I have a very simple relation. It's like I'm currently feeling blank. I also talked about saying that I want context. So I'm in a current situation. I think actually that's going to be more relatable to, I think you guys can let me know, okay, so the idea is that why we might want a relational database is when we already know why we want to find an affirmation. So the idea is that you can either filter by something, right, which is after the fact, or you can be searching for something, which is before the fact. And really, it's kind of nuanced in how we can kind of think about this. But essentially, what I'm trying to say is that, for these one, this is really useful for saying like, hey, and just imagine, right? We're starting to imagine the end result too, is that, hey, you currently have a database that's sitting inside your system, and it's saying like, hey, these are the feelings, what are you feeling today, right? And let's actually even simulate that. So let's put header, what are you feeling today? Okay, so that's going to be in your workspace, right? And then you can say, oh, I'm feeling this. You click on the self-affirmation and you find, I'm just put examples here for now. So ABC. And by the way, if you guys have really good affirmations for any of these categories, let me know. I want to use your suggestions, okay? So don't hesitate to speak up. But example, BBB, example, CCC. We'll go into real use cases in a bit. But, my example here would be like, if you're feeling low energy, well, try these two, right? If you're feeling unvalued, try this one. Overwhelmed, try this one. And, these are all going to be already in here, already in this database, right? So all you have to do is say like, okay, if I'm feeling this, then this is what I can possibly leverage on in terms of self-affirmation. And then I'll open that up, and then I can see this, and maybe even within this page we can have like some beautiful images. I'm just thinking out loud right now, but maybe like you have an image here that's going to have you think about things differently, a beach, a margarita on a beach, right? So and then a quote of the day. I think even a quote of the day would be really cool. Quotes, right? Etc. Oh, and something really meaningful too, and because this came up in a conversation about self-esteem, right, is that a lot of people don't believe that they can do it. Obviously, you hear a lot of stories about, oh, so and so was able to do this, and they're in the same, they came from the same background as you, or they're the same life stage as you, you're on the same age. You're like, yeah, but that's them, and they had more resources and they had more whatever. And I get it at some point. It's hard to relate to a lot of the things that are happening outside, and it's easy to think that oh no, I'm special. I'm specially. It's good. It might be good to think you're special if it's helping your self-esteem, right? But if you're thinking about it, it's like, oh, I'm special, meaning that I'm not actually able to be that person like that they are. I want to bring some more relevant examples. How can we find everyday Joes, right? Everyday people, you know, the Susans, the Sam, the Mikes, that you would know at your local, you know, pub, at your local grocery store, and essentially, you know, be able to use those as examples. So, you know, just something to think about, right? Interesting, relevant example. Interesting, relevant example of success. And the fun thing is, again, like, this is all up to you. Like, what I hope to empower is that if you have a really awesome self-affirmation that has taken you from 0 to hero, and, you know, really gotten you to be over that kind of mindset, then that's the really useful story that needs to be told here. You know, a lot of people have really good tips on how to, you know, get over a certain hump in their lives. And I think that the best thing for us to do is to respect that and to see how we can help you share that story with everyone else. So Dean said, does go for a walk count as a self-affirmation method? Okay, this is actually super interesting. Let's add one more column. That's great, Dean, I love it. Okay, so one more, take action. So we have our affirmation, which is what you're going to say to ourselves, right? Actually, let's do an example. You know, what to say to ourselves. Let's just say, you know, you are. Actually, let's Google one, right? Best self-affirmations. You know, let's take a few. Let's take a few ones. Oh no, this one's broken. All right, well, let's take this from here, and there's some from HuffPost. Awesome. But yeah, so let's bring in a few in. But of course, I want your guys. Also, I'm adventures. I am in charge of how I feel today. I like that. I'm in charge of how I feel today. And today I'm choosing happiness. That's nice. I like that. Probably have another one. Let's find another one. I'm the architect of my life. Let's bring this one too. And then I take this one. So okay, so I wanted to show the example is like, okay, so this affirmation, what does it really mean? So then we have an explanation. You know, you can probably say, you know, when you reflect about this affirmation, consider the following. And this talks a bit about, you know, certain things. And then take action is the interesting thing. And this is where I'm going to throw in Nadine's and also Anne's suggestion is that, you know, take action could be, you know, go out for a walk today. Maybe, you know, choose overwhelmed, right? Choose carefully what goes onto your calendar. So this is really meaningful. You see, like, you can already see the stages, and I want to map it out to make it really, really obvious to you is that, well, we have, you know, let's make a header here. We have, you know, first, you know, your situation, your state of mind, your situation, which is your, you know, what are you feeling / you know, what situation are you in? Actually, let's make it, okay, what situation are you in? What are you feeling, right? It's the first step of this big puzzle. And then we're going to have a lookup, you know, positive self-affirmation. And then what does that mean, right? That's your question. And then, you know, how can I take action on this? And this is so meaningful because, like, you know, as you guys may know, like, our whole approach in the community is like, you know, knowledge is one thing, but knowledge without good execution, you know, doesn't mean anything, right? Ideas are plenty. And the goal here that I think why systems are so powerful is that, you know, from an idea, you can put together meaningful action that's, you know, that's based on fundamentals, and also something that's really meaningful and relevant for you to do immediately, right? It's not like, hey, you know, you're motivated and then you lose motivation. No. You're motivated, then you do something good, and then you're motivated from doing that good thing, and then you're motivated again, and it keeps feedbacking. Hope that makes sense. And please continue giving me more affirmations and more actions. I think this is an awesome conversation so far. Give me a sec, I'm gonna get some water. awesome. And I also saw, I believe, Ryan tuned in. Hey Ryan, how are you? Good to see you. Oh, Dean, listen to your pickup song. I like that too. And I'm trying to think about how to relate this, because we actually do have a database about like your favorite songs, and then like, you know, I have so there's a master song database. Oh, let me show you. This is really awesome actually. Let me bring it up, because if you go to our toolbox and then you scroll down, let me show you guys. I wonder if it's actually obvious here. Let's see. So I'm going to zoom in a bit so you guys can see what I'm doing. There is a database here that from time boxing you can get there. Yeah, so I didn't highlight it. I should do that next time. Okay, yeah, but music anthems basically. So like, you know, music anthems for me helps you get into the mood, gets in the mood for activities in your day, and then you can kind of schedule the times in the day, you know, that you want to listen to, like Eye of the Tiger, right? As an example. And maybe the music trigger for it from, you know, your home assistants and stuff like that. We can probably link it to this database. That's really interesting. And then now we can even see like what people like to listen to, you know, that makes them really feel good. Ah, I like that. Like I'm trying to think too. Like, okay, I'm putting a lot of brain power in this, because what could be really interesting is like, you know, this is another qualifier, another way to get into the affirmation. Because what if like you are listening to a song and you want to know how it kind of makes people feel? Because now we know that, right? We can even do a reverse search. Interesting. I'm just thinking out loud. But anyway, yeah, let's put that on in our mind. Like, so let's put some more ideas, additional ideas, you know. Yeah, a mind map would be quite interesting. Yeah, like, well, I mean, this is kind of what we started, right? We started with the mind map already, and then now we're just adding additional things as it comes, and I think that's really awesome. So keep throwing these ideas. But like, you know, music to pick me up, right? For now, I can go under the take action, but again, if you use a relational property, you can have really structured content, structured databases, which then makes it really easy for you to sort and filter and do all sorts of cool things later on, which I'm going to show you. So let's get on with this. We have our current feeling, we have our affirmation. What does it really mean? Take action. I also want to add the category. So let's call it category or situation, right? Or most useful situations, let's call it that. Let's make it a database. I think a database is meaningful, and I'm going to leverage off my work here already. So I'm just duplicating this thing. Obviously, we're not going to call it feelings anymore, but we're going to call that one your situation. So what situation are you in today, right? And then we call this, you know, situation. And again, this could be really niche. I will say this could be like very, very niche, and you know, it may not be as useful as feelings, because everyone has feelings, but not everybody has the exact same situations. But the interesting thing is that eventually we're going to see like a crosstalk on it. And what I mean by that is like, usually the things that you experience in the same situation are universal. So most people, you know, that are currently, let's say, working in, you know, hospitals right now, are probably feeling pretty much the same way. They're probably feeling overwhelmed. They're probably feeling, you know, a bit depressed, because there's a lot of people that they want to help and maybe they can't help. So I think that situations in the end would correlate with feelings, and maybe that's interesting information for us to also explore another point too. But you know, I'm currently you know, studying for a test, you know, trying to get a promotion at work, you know, just some more examples like that. Trying to get a promotion at work, you know, reconnecting with family, right? And then if you guys have anything more useful too, you know, please let me know. But trying to write a book, you know, writing a book, yeah, that's good. Or I want to make it more impactful, not just a book, like a journal entry, writing reflections, writing a journal, maybe. Like it's better than that, like autobiography. Like maybe like you're reflecting on your life and then you're having different feelings about it, you know, that kind of thing. And one cool thing I'm going to show you guys is I'm going to show you guys you know, a better way to see things. So because both of these databases are quite short, I'm going to actually make them into columns. So I can move here, drag this over here. Now we have really like a really easy way to see everything. And then I'm going to drag this below because that's probably going to be where the feedback loop is going to start. So this is the loop. And we're going to make this a heading 3, make it a bit smaller. We're also going to turn this into a row. And eventually, guys, at the end of this, you guys can all take home for this. It's all public, so you can duplicate it. So whether you want to build it you know, together with me here, or you have some other thing you want to build on your own, you know, some other database that you know, you're trying to do a public repository, it's up to you. But just know that you'll have this at the end of this call, so then you can take it and use it as you wish. And of course, if you want to add on to the public self-affirmation database, then do that as well. So and yeah, like you really do have the freedom and power to create the life you desire. And let me also make that, you know, put that here because I think that's really impactful. Thank you. And you know, you have the freedom and power to no, let's use eyes. I have the freedom and power to create the life I desire. Right? I think that's super impactful. I'm going to add a div in there. These are just formatting things, and we're probably gonna stop wasting time with that. But yeah, okay, so cool. So we have feelings, we have situations. Excuse me. Let's start searching some up, right? Let's say, like, you know, I'm courageous and I stand up for myself. Okay, let's take a bunch of these. Let's take all 35. And then let's actually make them meaningful now, because I want to have some really good examples. So like this is the part where, even when building a product, right, this is the part where we have like an MVP, and then we want to essentially test with real data to make sure that it makes sense. So let's do that. And MVP stands for minimum viable product, by the way, if you're not familiar with that lingo. So let's put this here, and let's put that down here, and let's also, you know, throw out these things for a sec because I want them to be meaningful. Go for a walk. I've been giving endless talents I've been to utilize today. And eventually our take action might even be a relational database too, yeah, because eventually maybe we want to have that being able to sort it out. I'm just thinking about that, but for now there's already a lot of relations, so let's not worry about that. But most useful situations, most useful when, you know, most useful when studying for a test. Oh, this is really cool. Okay, I like this already. Okay, so today I'm brimming with energy. I like this one. And if you see anyone that you really like, also let me know, okay? Oh, my marriage, this is really good. This is obviously, you know, I'm in a, you know, I'm currently feeling anxious about my marriage, and this is obviously going to be about that marriage one. Okay, and then of course it's irresponsible to just say that to yourself. You probably have to really reflect what it means, and we'll flesh that out together, but probably not right now, because it's going to take a while. Like, this is probably the deeper content part of it. My body is healthy, you know. So this is, I feel, you know, I'm currently feeling low energy. It's probably low energy here. Low energy is this one. I'm superior to negative thoughts and low actions. So this is here. So this is probably unmotivated, right? And then I'm feeling angry, like that. Angry, right? That one's a good one. So I forgive those who have harmed me in the past. Or this one is also really good. A river of compassion. So let's put that there. This one goes for angry. Okay. And then possess the qualities I'm feeling. So this one probably is useful for like when you're feeling, you know, unvalued. Or even like unaccomplished. You know. Lost. Okay, I like that. I'm currently feeling lost. Struggling with bullies. That's good. So that's the situation. I'm currently struggling with bullies. Struggling with bullies. Let's also make this caps properly. Writing a journal. Reconnecting with family. Promotion at work. Studying for test. Okay. Feeling behind. Shania. All right. I like that. Feeling behind. Okay. Cool. Okay, so let's make this longer so I can see more things. Okay, so we did these already. We forgiveness is useful, really. I want to help with that. So forgiveness. So angry. Oh, betrayed. Betrayed is good. Betrayed. This is really good for betrayed. And by the way, a cool Notion tip is that this is a recent update they did. Is when you select the relation property, the last one that was created actually pops up. So you see betrayed was pops up first. So it's really useful for you to click in and be able to do that. Yes, I have people who love me and options. Perfect. And also, guys, right now, you know, it's just going to be, so the really cool thing is right now it's going to be like, you know, submitter, and it's all me right now. But later on, when you guys get access to this database, you guys can also show that you are the submitter if that's meaningful to you, so that, you know, if someone, it gives you a chance to like humanize the affirmation. So it's not just like, you know, spammed by, you know, robots or, you know, scraped off the internet, but rather like someone actually felt really good about this specific affirmation and wants to share it with the world. So that's the idea. Ryan, I absolutely think that's exactly what we want. Yes. So, you know, I think, okay, let me create a template here, which I think will be useful. And let's do this together, right? So I'm gonna create a template. So I say new affirmation. And I think would be really, really useful is like give people like a chance to add images, so like collage, like what's meaningful images to them. Let's do 3 to start. But thank you, that's a really good one. So this is meaningful, like, you know, inspiration. So those are images, and then we're going to have, you know, relevant stories. So let's put sections in here, like relevant stories, right? And then we're gonna have another, so like you can kind of see the vision for the future, right? And I'm so excited, guys. You have no idea how excited I am. Like, just imagine, like, for each affirmation you have images, you have real stories from people that are putting you know, their life stories into here and how this has changed your mind, right? And then you can also have, like, you know, more action steps you can take. So this is going to give everyone an opportunity to throw in all these information that, you know, would really make a big difference in how you can kind of think about and leverage this affirmation. So absolutely, absolutely wonderful. I love it. Thanks for that submission. I love it. Cool. And you know, let's go business. I like that. This one's good. So this is a good one for business. Let's go. Ooh, apparently I did not copy that, right? I see what happened. So let's say situations. I'm currently, you know, feeling strange. Oh no, this is feeling already. No, I'm currently building a business. I'm currently feeling undesirable, maybe. I think that was a good one in terms of what you're just saying, Nadine. Let's go. You'll see me fall, I guarantee it, but you'll never see me quit. That's beautiful. I love it. I love it. These are really good submissions, guys. Keep it up. I love it. I love it. Okay, so creative energy. I think this is really good. This is about I'm currently creating new value, and I'll explain what that means. That one's a bit more meaningful, at least to me. Is like, you know, always trying to create new value, but then, you know, how do you get creative, right? So that's the kind of thing I'm thinking about there. Creating new, that's under a situation. So you can kind of see it, right? You can kind of read it. It's pretty cool. It's like, you know, creative energy surges through me, blah, blah, blah. You know, useful when I'm currently feeling this, and most useful when, you know, creating new value. So let's also add that here. So most useful when feeling. Awesome. And if someone could explain to Latrice, our new joiner, what this database is all going to do, please be helpful there. I want to keep going on, but welcome, Latrice. And let's go. So self-esteem, right? So let's say happiness is a choice. I like this. I'm feeling unhappy, right? So that one's a very basic one. I'm feeling unhappy. And then this one is going to be unhappy right here. And then let's also go, let's keep going. Oh, I'm feeling stuck. I like this one's for stuck. This one's really good. I'm feeling, and by the way, you can also go backwards, so you can say, you can add it from here, and it's the same thing. So I'm feeling stuck. And then okay, this is good. Employment is, ooh. Employment one is interesting. So I'm currently looking for a job, right? This is awesome. And then writer's block, huh? What to do when you have writer's block? Let's say I'm currently writing, so then maybe we make this like more generic again. Yeah, writing something personal. Okay, so that's different from writing a book, I think. Writing a book, article. I'm currently feeling rejected. Okay, but undesirable, rejected is kind of similar. Yeah, so I just want to warn that kind of seems similar. So many people look up to me, recognize my worth. So this one's really good. This one is undesirable. I'm blessed with an incredible family and wonderful friends. 100%. This one is like almost for everything. I think for everything that you say, it's going to be really good in terms of that. So anyway, rejected, undesirable. I want to find one to help with the lost one. I'm courageous and stand up for myself. I'm feeling maybe like, not say attacked, but I'm feeling like, you know, irrelevant. I don't know. Overlooked. Overlooked is a good one. Overlooked. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and exactly, Latrice, that's exactly what we're trying to build here. Is that at the end of the day, it's going to automate to show up. I wouldn't say randomly though. Randomly, I think is a bit, we lose the meaning a bit. We lose the intention of it. What we're trying to do here is like, just quickly explaining, is like, we're building a flow where it's like on your Notion database, on your Notion page, you know, you can kind of say like, hey, either answer what are you feeling today, or what situation are you in today, and then immediately the self-affirmation is populated for you. So for example, you know, you can see one that let's throw in one of them. So let's say for the motivated one or unhappy one, let's throw in one of the happiness ones. So this one. So let's say that, you know, we're feeling unhappy, then we populate happiness as a choice. I base my happiness on my own accomplishments and the blessings I've been given. Then we open that up, or we open up I'm in charge of how I feel today, for example, because this has a good example in here. And then basically, like, you know, we'll have some images there. So let's say there's a new affirmation, right? And then this template automatically generates, you know, some pictures, some relevant real stories, some more action steps you can take. And then basically it kind of explains to you, like, you know, what can you take action on for this? When is this most useful? And what situations is it also useful for? And then basically like giving you a really deep pick me up for something specific that you're either feeling right now or a situation that you're in right now. So exactly with that, hopefully that made sense for you. But of course, randomizing also works, but just with the knowledge that it may be less powerful than you like because we're losing the intention there. Let's also not wrap cells for this so that we can pick and choose. Let's also not wrap cells here. And then, okay, so let's finish this up. Let's not do everything just because I want to get to testing. The whole idea is that we're testing more things. This one is good. I'm feeling lonely. This one's really good. I'm feeling lonely. I like this one. So lonely. Awesome. I'm glad you like it. We love it too. It's a great tool. It's very flexible, and of course a lot of good resources out there to teach you how to use it as well. So I think it's a good tool to pick up, especially if you want to build, like, let's say, systems for yourself. Like, honestly, normally, like, so my background is in systems building. I have, you know, built database systems for quite many years, and if I had to build this all in, like, you know, traditional tools and using like Microsoft SQL and, you know, just very robust systems, and, you know, keeping in mind this is also for consumer based, like that's a bit different. I used to build for enterprise, but, you know, for consumer based, like, it's still really easy for you to build like such a useful MVP already at this stage. I already think it's super useful, but then from here, where do we go from here? And it's only going to get better. We're going to start filtering. We're going to start throwing it into your Notion workspace. We're going to start making it, you know, connect in all sorts of ways, bring insights, you know, collaboration. Just so many cool things you can do. And I think really the sky's the limit for this. Yeah. I am what I learned to be. Sure, I like that. I am what I learned to be. Done is way better than perfect. Okay, let's go. My ability to conquer my challenges is limitless. I love it. And then let's go. So my thoughts are filled with positivity and my life is plentiful with prosperity. Oh, this is awesome. I love it. Abandon my habits. Did we do this one already? Yeah, we did. I'm feeling stuck. I acknowledge my own self-worth. My confidence is skyrocketing. Writer's block one. Dean, that is awesome. I love it. So so this is writer's block. So writing a book article. So let's do the writing one. Where is that? Not feeling. Writing. So these both fit. And oh, I'm feeling lost. Okay, this one is good for I'm feeling lost for Dean. This one is good for I'm feeling lost. And then this one is I'm feeling my future is an ideal projection. This is good. I'm feeling uncertain. We have maybe uncertain and lost is kind of the same, but I just want to put it down just in case people treat that as differently. But this one will be uncertain. Like, I'm feeling uncertain about my future. I'm feeling uncertain about, you know, that kind of thing. This one's definitely for low motivation. Low motivation or motivation. Where is that? I'm feeling unmotivated, right? I think is the thing, unmotivated. And that's true submission. Awesome. Okay, and then illness. So this one's good for sickness. Sickness. I'm currently battling illness, which many of us are, right, in the world today. So this one's good. Illness. Battling illness. Battling illness. And then you might not write well every day, but you can always edit a bad page. You can't edit a blank page. That's awesome. I love it. Let's put that in too. And this is where you can also put in a lot of context, because especially when a writer is direct quote, right? You know, so for example, quotes from when, when she was speaking about, and this is like really meaningful, because then you can now empathize with, whoever wrote this, right? You can empathize with the speaker of this quote. So I like that. And then this one is I like this one. Okay, so in a situation, I'm currently stuck in bed, right? You don't feel like you can get out of bed. So this one is going to be right here. Most useful when stuck in bed. That one's good. And then my fears of tomorrow. So this anxiety one. I like this one. So this one for uncertain. Let's make it anxious then, because that's what I really mean. I'm feeling anxious. And then this one is I'm at peace. Awesome. And then my life is just beginning. I'm feeling okay, cool. So that's a lot of affirmations. Really cool. Let's just start linking them up so we can just make sure that they work. So for example, let's start from the end backwards, so then we can go from self-affirmations backwards to the feelings and to the situations. So I'm in charge of how I feel today, and I'm choosing happiness. So what else would fit in here? Well, most likely, if you're feeling, anything that has to do with unhappy. If I'm feeling angry, also angry is also a feeling there that would fit for this. And then most useful when let's say, I guess like I'm currently, I don't want to add feeling here because there's feelings here. Yeah, anyway, yeah, so far it seems like it kind of works. Like I like it so far, and I think there's more things to be added, but we went a bit crazy with all this. So it is getting a bit long, and I don't think the time will be best well spent like that, but you kind of get the idea, right? So basically we'll have, okay, let's at least make one for every single feeling and every single situation, and then eventually we'll sync up everything, of course, after the stream. But so overwhelmed, what would fit, right? So let's take a look. My life is just beginning, works for that. My fears of tomorrow are melting away. And then let's say, someone's supporting me, so my efforts are being supported, right, by the universe. Awesome. And then I want to throw in the dean's little blurb here, and let's put it in here. Okay, and you have a really good point there. I'm trying to digest that. So For cognitive behavioral therapy, it's about thoughts, feelings, and could be negative, and behaviors. We added the positive thinking with the positive affirmation. We're missing negative thoughts, like feeling lonely. The negative thought is I'm undesirable, or the feeling is lost. Negative thought is I'm hopeless. So then let's add that here then. Negative thoughts. My issue with that though, and maybe you guys will have to correct me on this, and I'm happy to be wrong on this, right? But I feel like if I'm writing negative thoughts into this database, meaning that you're reading it while you're trying to get better, would that not like put yourself into a downward spiral? Because you're kind of like putting it at the top of your mind and potentially even you know, solidifying something that you weren't thinking about before. I'm not sure if that's necessarily positive, you know. And you have to let me know if that's meaningful. Oh, I guess you're talking about, you know, when people are feeling, or they're thinking the thought, but they don't know what they're feeling. Is that right? So they're thinking a certain thought, but they don't know what that feeling actually is. That could be meaningful. That could be meaningful. So let me think about that. So people may start with thoughts rather than feelings, and thus need to work a different way. Yeah, no, I get it. Like maybe you haven't processed it enough to know what that feeling actually is, but you are just feeling a negative thought. But I think that one also is a bit hard, and it's just my background in psychology talking now. It's like everyone feels differently. Like there's no standard feelings in the world. Like thoughts can be universal because you can think the same things, but the way you feel about those thoughts can be very, very different. So I kind of worry about, you know, relating the thoughts to the affirmation. Yeah, no, but I get it. I get what you're saying, and I'm just trying to see how to fit it in. Okay, let me keep thinking on that. But I think that's really, really meaningful. I'll hide that for now, but I think that's meaningful. Okay, cool. So this is the master database, right? These are the master databases. And then what we want to do here is create the databases that are going to sit in your workspace. So that's going to be super interesting. So let's call these the, you know, let's make a new page. Let's call this the linked views for your duplication. Okay. First of all, let's make these also, you know, let's start letting people see this. So I'm going to publish to the web, and if you guys want to be able to see this and start editing on it, you can definitely do that. So let me throw it in here. So I'm going to throw that in here, and then I'm going to send this here. This is the lookup database. And then I'm not going to unlock duplication just yet. I am unlocking edit rights if you guys want to edit. I think it's totally fine. But I'm going to only make duplication rights for this page. And this is why it's starting to get meaningful. And I'm going to show you. Well, first of all, actually, I need to move this into another page. So let me show you a hack. Okay, so this is a cool hack. And this is something I figured out. So normally, Notion user management's permission properties is that if you have a page within a page, so this page is within this bigger page, right? And you try to set like options for like editing, allowing comments, duplicating as template and stuff like that, it follows whatever page it was in before. It follows the parent page. You see, it's based on the self-affirmation lookup database. If you want to change that, right, this is what you can do. So go back to the self-affirmation lookup database. I'm going to drag this into my private pages for a second. So it's a separate page. So then there's no parents anymore. I'm going to share with the web, and this one I want to allow duplicate as template, of course. I'm going to allow comments, and I'm going to allow search engine indexing. I'm going to go back, and then I'm going to go back to this page, and I'm going to throw it into this page like that. And then when I throw it into a page like that, and I open this up, you can see that it's now not based on the parents anymore. I have my own individual rights, and I can change it as I need to. So I can take off editing. Oh, I can't take off editing because the parent has editing, but this can be duplicated as template, but this lookup database cannot be. So you can see this one cannot be. So that's just a little hack for you to learn how to do user permission management if you guys are managing like a template like this in the future. Cool. So what am I trying to do? I'm trying to say, okay, so let me start again with the goal in mind, right? Which is, let's start with callout. You know, this page is intended for you to easily pick up the linked views for the let's call it meaningful questioning to get the most intentional self-affirmation for you. So this is that page, and then I'm going to put two toggles here. Let's call it, what are you feeling today? And then this one is going to be, what situation are you in today? Okay, so these are your questions, you know. And then so basically we pick those up, And what I want to do is, I don't want to overwhelm any user when they're coming in. So to do linked views, I have a whole video on this as well, and maybe someone can share that in the chat later on. But basically, you know, we have a way to create windows into the database that we're currently working with. Each linked view is an opportunity to customize how you want to interact with the data that you're currently that's in the master database, which is currently in here. And let me show you what that means. Like, and of course, my video explains this much more better than I can right now. It's a 10-minute video, but let's just start on with it. So basically, I pasted the link I just copied. I create a linked database. I want to make this as visual as I can. So I'm going to make this into probably a gallery view. Okay, let's see a gallery view. Let's see if that works. I'm going to put a property. I want to show the self-affirmation. This is not perfect. Okay, I want to actually show probably a list then, maybe. I'm just experimenting right now. I'm trying to see what might be best. Ideally, it's something I can click and then it can go over there. Nah, okay. The best thing probably is still a table then for this. Okay, cool. But what I want is, I want this to be filtered. I want this to say filter, you know, and I want to say add a filter. I'm currently feeling, and then we say, you know, blank. What are you feeling today? And then hover over filters and hover over filter and type in a feeling that you are experiencing. So I'm going to give two options, okay? So this is the first option. You hover over filter, you type in the feeling you're experiencing, then obviously you can filter on it, right? So let's say I filter like, hey, I'm currently feeling unhappy, right? And then the second I press enter, then unhappy comes up, and then what we're going to do is we're going to hide this property here, and we're going to make it wrap so that you can see immediately, these are all the different affirmations that I could potentially use, right? And then I can click on them and see more, right? So so the steps is hover over filter, type in the feeling you're experiencing, you know, observe the self-affirmation that pops up, that populates the database, click into the self-affirmation to further dive into the pick me up, right? So then I click on this, and then I say, oh, I'm in charge of how I feel today. It opens up in its own window, and then I can read about, you know, I can see some pictures, some relevant real stories, and more action steps that we can take. So that's already super useful. And then you can also see how you can take action. So So that's the first way you can do it, but I want to show a second way as well. If you don't know how you are feeling right now, and this goes to the point of I think it was Patrice. So if you don't know how you're feeling right now, but want a pick me up anyways, right? One, change the view to, so now I'm going to add a new view, and this is going to be pretty interesting. I'm going to add a new view, and then we're going to add, okay, I know what to do now. So I'm going to add a new gallery view. This is going to be interesting. And then this gallery view is going to be smaller than that. So let's make it smaller, so small. Let's also add a page cover. Oh, this is gonna be really nice. You guys are gonna like this. Change that view to browse. So this is browse and eyes. So this is gonna be browsing, and this is gonna be like specific, right? So let's call it, put an arrow on it because intention. But for browse, basically, and I'm going to start throwing in some covers, and it might be random for now. It might not actually mean anything, but I want to show you what I'm thinking about because I think it's gonna be pretty cool. So let's make this lonely. Uncertain. Let's add a cover here. So let's call it uncertain. So let's put this here, and then let's call overlooked as, you know, probably someone that's small. We'll put something that's small. So a crowd, maybe. Crowd. Okay, cool. I'm gonna keep adding later on, but for now this is really interesting because I want to show you how I'm thinking about it and also get your feedback on how you think that's going to be meaningful to you. So basically, if you don't know how you're feeling right now and you want to pick it out anyways, change the view to browse and then click on a feeling you'd like to explore, right? Examine the self-affirmations that are relevant for that feeling. And the interesting thing, the really interesting thing here is that once we make this beautiful, it's going to be really good. But also what we're going to do here is I'm going to make a new template that is going to self-reference itself. It's going to be, that's a whole bundle of words, but I'll explain exactly what that means, and it's going to be really cool. So basically, I'm going to make a new template, and I'm going to say new feeling. Let's now throw it in this link database for self-affirmations, and we're going to do a filter. Well, first let's make it a bit better. So let's hide this. Let's hide this. We just want the affirmations. Well, because it pops out like this, I actually want this to be a gallery view instead. And then I want this to be I don't want this to be content. There's none. I want this to be medium, or maybe even small. And then what we're going to do, what else might be useful? Take action. Yeah, I want people to click on it. Okay, so, and then what we're going to do is we're going to filter, and then we're going to do a self-referential filter. So we want to do it most useful in feeling is containing new feeling. Okay, this is a whole bunch of words, but you're going to get it. Okay, you're going to get it real soon. So basically what happens here is, let's say that now that we have uncertain, right? And we said that uncertain has these two self-affirmations, but it's a bit boring to click on it and then see it, right? What we are now doing is, by using this new feeling, it's auto-generating the table, the linked view, that's going to be exactly these things. So I can click on it instead here, and then immediately see everything else like this. So it makes it very easy for us to, instead of having, you know, people go through the properties and like, oh, what is this, you know, and click it, oh, these are, you know, is a bit ugly and confusing. They can just see all the self-affirmations populated. And in the future, if we want to throw in stuff like, you know, who's the submitter, right? What does it really mean? You know, take action and just more useful information populating here, I can definitely do it. So that's the really cool idea I have right now about this. And what's actually interesting then is that this can also work for the specific. Like, now that we're doing it this way, I don't need to have it like that, because I personally think that's a bit boring. I'd rather have the images, but you guys can correct me if you think differently, all right? But basically, I'm going to now do this. I'm going to put, this is also specific but graphical. So we have two options, right? Specific, visual. And then I like this here, and then I'm going to filter, and then I'm going to say add a filter. I'm currently feeling contains blank. Awesome. So you have two options. Let's summarize. What are you feeling today, right? You hover over filter, and then you type a feeling that you're experiencing. You observe the self-affirmation that populates the database, right? So I'm feeling uncertain. That pops up. I click into the self-affirmation to further dive into the pick-me-up. So I can click into this one, doesn't really matter, but I can click into it. Or, right, or I don't know what I'm feeling yet, but I am feeling a bit low energy, or I'm feeling something. I can now browse to see what exactly I'm feeling. And then the image will help me relate to that feeling as much as possible. So that's the first part of how I'm feeling today. Is there anything that you guys would change? Anything that you guys think that I'm missing in this process, at least for the feeling part? And then we can move on to the situation part. I'm gonna get some quick water while you guys think about that. Well, awesome. Let me continue for now, and let's say, what situation are you in today? And I think this one, I don't think you would not know what situation you are today. Type in your current situation that you're experiencing. A self-affirmation that populates the database. And I think something really interesting too that I'm going to add here is, like, you know, if you don't find, if you can't find a relevant affirmation that suits your needs, help us populate it. This is a collaborative project started by the CoX3 family. Awesome, no problem. I know this is like a big, like, whoa. So I completely get it. I completely get it. And okay, cool. Let me throw this on here. Let me throw this on the side as well. So what situation are you feeling today? Are you in today? And then now we do the same thing here. So we pick up the situations database, we copy the link, we paste the link here, link to page. We're also going to have the same look and feel. So we're going to do a gallery view. We're going to call it specific visual. We're going to call this specific visual. And then we're going to also, so it'll be really cool, guys, if you guys can come in and then start adding images that are relevant to you. Like, again, go crazy. This is your page to now expand on and build upon. So have fun with that. And then we're going to add a filter for contains, you know, blank. And then we're also going to duplicate this view. And again, there's a really good video I have that explains how to do that. So I'm not going to go into that too much, but we're also going to have a browse section here so you can see all the different situations that we currently cover in our database. I'm going to delete this table view. And for this one, we're going to remove the filter. So this just shows everything. And eventually, guys, we might even have like a situation where we're able to, let's say, you know, okay, let's add the upvote mechanism. So it's getting to an hour and a half, and thanks guys for being so engaged. It's been really fun doing this with you guys. But before I go, let's add something really cool for an upvote mechanism. And let me show you how it will work. And this is like a really cool implementation that I think more people should use. I really think more people should use this. Okay, so how does it work? So we're going to make a few properties. We're going to call it upvotes. So this is upvotes, and then we can select a person. And then we're going to also create one called upvotes, and this is for the formula that's going to calculate how many upvotes that it has, because I want people to be able to say, hey, this is meaningful to me, you know, or maybe that's how I like this, right? Or this has been useful, I like whatever. And then the upvotes will then count exactly how useful it is for how many people. So let's also show the submitter. The submitter is important here. And let's now do this. Okay, interesting. So now we also have different views that we can add here to make it more beautiful. But yeah, let's talk about that in a sec later. Let's hide this. Let's hide this for now. Let's wrap these cells just for a second. Okay, so let's say that someone comes in and Drew likes it, right? Drew likes this one, and let's say someone comes in and, you know, I think I can put Anne likes this one, okay? Maybe Drew and Anne likes this one. Right now, there's 3 people that should enjoy this affirmation. There's 3 people that enjoy this affirmation of I am in charge of how I feel, and today I am choosing happiness. So how do we keep track of that fact that 3 people have done this? So I'm going to copy this code over from one of my other databases, and I'll walk through exactly how it works too. But basically, I like this, and then here is I like this. Okay, so this one is a really complicated implementation. I'm not going to expect you to know how to do it, but I just wanted to show you that this is possible to do. But basically, this formula reads the length of I like this, and every single one, entry like Drew and then Anne, that's 1. So if it's equal to 0, then it's just 1 because I'm the submitter, then obviously it should still be upvoting their own things. But if there's more than 1, then essentially we take the length and then we keep adding 1 based on how many participants there were in there. So really cool things like, you know, for example, this has 3 upvotes, this has 2 upvotes, this has 1 upvote. And now what we can do is we can now sort by upvotes. We can say, hey, you know, by upvotes, how many people enjoyed this over the other one, right? How many people enjoy this affirmation over another one? And eventually we can start building a really cool database where, you know, we really can find out which self-affirmations has really helped the most people. So hopefully that blew your mind just a little bit. It blew my mind when I first found the Upvote mechanism, or at least the mechanism to do it. It was really, really cool to me, and hopefully it's cool for you guys. And basically, let's do it like this. And okay, so let's end this off. Let me summarize what we did today, right? How we got here, and also let's talk about next steps, because I think next steps is important. So let me add one for roadmap or work in progresses, right? Okay, so let's start by summarizing today. So today we came in 9 a.m. bright and early, or 9 a.m. for me, 9 p.m. for you guys. We talked about what are the goals that we have for this database. Why do we want to build this? We want to be able to filter, sort out affirmations that are relevant to me. We want to have anonymous submissions because global efforts are better than a singular one. And we want to have linked views that you can duplicate onto your own workspace so that you can easily search up affirmations that matter to you. Great. Features, we decided what's the definition of this? How do we mind map this out? You know, do we have 2 separating categories, context, feelings? What's going to be the title, the affirmations? Is there a description? We have more context about the affirmations. How are you supposed to feel after reading that? You know, self-referential, you know, maybe that's something that we add in later. That's going to be, you know, actually let's add that. So this is like a roadmap thing, right? So suggestions on what you may also like, that's later. Upvotes, so we added that already, and then separate database to collect inputs. So This is something for us to consider later on. Right now, I think it's still great. I'm letting everyone edit, but once we start having problems, then it might be useful for us to create a duplicate database for people to just enter information in, and then only the approved entries then get translated to the master database, if that's interesting to you. Additional ideas, we can start music to pick me up. People may start with thoughts rather than feelings, so these end up being in a roadmap as well for us to kind of consider later on. Cool. And then now we start going into here, like, you know, I have the freedom and power to create the life I desire. So start questioning, you know, start questioning, because life is all about asking really good questions. You know, what situation are you in? What are you feeling? Then you get your positive self-affirmation. What does that mean? And then how can I take action on this? So we created 3 databases, one for feelings, one for situations, and one for self-affirmations. We make them link through relational properties. And I also have a video on that, or at least how to manipulate databases. You guys can check that out. It's usually just layered within when I talk about our systems in general, because I like to make it more practical. We also added on the linked views for your duplication. So let's throw that in somewhere where it's a bit more obvious. And let's go. Link views for your duplication. And then if you open that page, basically, let's add a little icon. So let's call it a link. So link view for your duplication, you can now duplicate this whole page to your workspace, and then you can instantly be able to filter and browse self-affirmations that we as a collective, as a family, are building up for you. And then eventually we can make this a really, really meaningful database where everyone's throwing in their relevant real stories, their images of what this affirmation means for them, and more action steps that you can take to make this a true affirmation for you to live a better life. So that's a lot of stuff, and obviously there's a lot of cleanup still to be done here. I just want to quickly add on cleanup to be done on this database. Probably prettying up the master databases to have more cover images, adding in relevant context and information in each affirmation, right? Building more relations between the existing entries where relevant. So those are the things I'll be doing, and probably you guys can also help do, because the page is public, the page is editable. If you guys want to help improve this, up to you. But it was really, really fun building this with you guys. If you guys have any more questions, I'm always available in the CoX3 community. That's our.cox3.com. That's our community space where we hang out. I'll type that right here. And also, if you want to learn more about what we do or what we stand for, you can also check out our main homepage on cox3.com. And that's essentially where we kind of hang out and just do our best work and be motivated by each other. You know, a collaborative community and a supportive community is one of the most important things, in my opinion, on how to be successful in life. So really awesome to have you guys here. As you can see, my camera just died, so that's my cue to go. Thank you all for joining us today, and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. You guys take care. Bye bye now.